What is up, Buff Nation? Welcome into DNVR Buffs Primetime. We are presented by Prize Picks. Guys, download the Prize Picks app. Sign up with the code DNVR, and they will give you a first deposit match up to $100. I am joined by our good friend Nikki Edwards here of CU Sports Report. Welcome back to the show. It's been a minute. I can't even remember last time you were here.
I'm like the ghost of Christmas past.
When was the last time you were here?
Dude, I literally think it was the TCU game.
No way. It's been that long.
Yeah, dude,
Wow.
It's been that long. I know. We've all just been working our little asses off and...
Trying to.
Dude, I know. Keeping up with everything in this offseason has been crazy, but no, it's so good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
And you had your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What'd you do?
I didn't do too much for my birthday. Just went hung out with my brother, kind of chilled. I had work.
Yeah.
So it was signing day too, so it was just crazy.
Yeah, it was the Jake Schwannen's birthday.
Yeah, right. How have you been though? How's all the work you've been doing been going?
Oh, it's been good. I mean, Coach Prime certainly keeps us busy. It's always a wild off season seeing all these guys come in. I mean, a lot of like top 100 transfers. You know, they've picked up a lot of like productive guys. Like they seem like they filled a lot of holes there, especially of course within the offensive line. Like a lot of those pickups, like Tyler Johnson, like, you know, he grades out so well on PFF. Like it's really, you know, there's a lot of talk during the season, and now we're seeing, you know, the results of that and everything kind of coming to fruition with Jordan Seaton, of course, and all the drama with that. It's, you know, trying to keep up, and I also do work my second job with Yahoo Sports, and that keeps me busy for sure. So just trying to, you know, stay in the loop as much as I can and not get burnt out. But, you know.
You're a working woman.
I know. I have to be. I have to pay rent in Denver. So
That's true. Yeah, we're all going through that struggle. Producer Alyssa's off today. Producer Yaya's here. So
my 49ers got beat on Christmas Day.
What's that?
49ers got beat on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
I'm still recovering from that.
How do you feel about the Niners at this point?
Dude, you know, like my hopes were so high. Like they were just like beating everyone by such a large margin. Like the Eagles was such a definitive win, and you know, going up against the Ravens, of course, it's number one on number one. And when Brock Purdy throws 4 interceptions, I think that's when you know that you're probably going to lose a game. And they were just so off on like so many different things, and that just wasn't the Christmas gift I was hoping for. You know, I just thought the 49ers were so dominant recently,
well,
so
it could be
I
worse.
assumed that they were going to win that game. I know.
You could be a Broncos fan right now.
True. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That woke up one morning and said Russell Wilson benched.
And there it is. I told you we wouldn't have to wait long. Nikki was on the Coach Prime documentary.
I know. That was so cool. I sent it to all my parents, and you know,
let's go.
You know, little wins. That was such a great opportunity, and just like being on there with like all you guys. It's such a well produced.
It was super dope. We'll get back to that in a bit. The latest episode's out. We talked about that a bit yesterday, but today we had more Jordan Seaton news. He's at the Under Armour All-American game, captaining Team Ice, I believe, actually.
Yes.
Team Fire and Team Ice. Jordan's manning down Team Ice. Brandon Davis-Swain was going to be there. He's hurt, so he cannot compete. Anyways, Jordan Seaton spoke to the media today, and we learned quite a bit about what's gone on, not only the last week, but last few months, kind of his process of being recruited, and what's really being said about Coach Prime and what's going on there. We're having a watch party at the bar right now, so if you hear the screaming and the cheering, Ryan's squad is playing. I think this is Leeds.
Leeds United, baby. Let's go.
What is it?
Leeds United.
Leeds, yeah. All right, let's get into it. So he was asked about why Colorado, and he said something that we hear a lot about when it comes to Coach Prime, and really just his what he wants to do as a coach beyond football. And that's molding young men. That's exactly what Jordan Seaton said. He brought up his mom, how she felt about Colorado and Coach Prime and what came through all those visits. One of the juicier details, he signed his NLI on Wednesday. We had to wait till Friday. He waited to send it in on Friday, but Wednesday is when he actually signed. So a lot of people got played. First off, you tell me, when you were experiencing this Jordan Seaton saga and it was all unfolding, How were you feeling? Were you confident he was still going to be a Buff?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire. You know, we saw rumors with Maryland, but just it seemed a bit off. Just because he went on Undisputed and he went on these, national broadcasts saying how much he, appreciates Coach Prime, why he chose the university. Like, there was a lot of backing and evidence why he would still stay with Colorado and, Maryland, DC. There is some linkage there, but there was there was just too much prior commitment and media with Jordan Seaton. And when the Maryland rumor came up, I was just like, I don't necessarily know about
random?
it. I know it was just so random, very timely per se. And then me and you both sat through the Hayes Fawcett.
We'll get
live,
to that.
And I was just, I still had a feeling, and I just kind of needed to see that end result, and ultimately he ended up signing with Colorado. But during kind of the back and forth and confusion, I was like, I could have gone either way, but I still felt that, and I still, somewhat heard that he was going to stay with Colorado. So It ended up happening eventually, but it was just it wouldn't be signing day without a little bit of drama.
Of course, has to be. He also shared his thoughts on the trajectory of Colorado, which I thought were pretty interesting. He said Coach Prime expressed his need for linemen. Obviously, we all watched the games. But it sounded like he kind of made a pitch to Jordan that really he's going to build this offensive line around him. Obviously, he's Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. He's got all these connections in NFL circles, and Jordan mentioned that working with offensive linemen, I guess specific coaches. I almost said masterminds. I guess some of them are, Duke Manyweather. He's coached a lot of guys coming up through the high school and college ranks and have become very good pros. And then he talked about teams negatively recruiting against Colorado, which we know is happening. It's not a secret. We see what all the anonymous coaches are saying. We see what all the talking heads feel so confident saying on TV about this program. So it's easy to assume a lot of coaches are saying the same thing. He said the most infamous thing that he was asked was, "What, do you want to be a rapper or something?" Which is kind of crazy to me that you would ask this kid that.
Yeah, that's definitely Colorado's seemed like they always had a target on them all season, just with all the press they're getting. It is it's been much more flashy in seasons prior, but that's definitely an interesting thing to propose. There is going to be a lot of press. I mean, of course, there's already been a lot of press around Jordan Seaton. He's the number one offensive tackle in the country. He's a 5-star. He's incredibly talented, and it's say something like that. I mean, maybe that's not the best way to positively recruit someone.
No.
And just make that assumption because I know it's a joke, but ultimately that's not what he's there for. He's not trying to be a rapper, but there is that scene in Boulder. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it interesting. This is why kids are coming to Colorado, and we're getting the Buffs are getting these really 4-stars and 5-stars that they haven't gotten in years prior, because it is an entertaining school. They have these connections and relationships with famous people, and that's definitely a factor in why they come to Colorado. I mean, you can become a rapper if you really want.
You probably could. Shador's out there rapping.
I know, exactly. So. They are a musically inclined family, but that's just something interesting to say, and it definitely continues to play to that narrative of just the action and just I think the doubt that floats around the program, outside of the program.
Right.
That's just the outside perception of the Buffs.
I mean, the chat's talking about it, and we joke about it on this show, the old whites. That's a typical old white statement right there, though.
I know.
I mean, it just shows that you really don't know what's going on at Colorado unless you put the time in. I mean, I say it on this show all the time. Watch the YouTube stuff. Actually learn about what Coach Prime is trying to do, not only for this team and this program, but trying to change college football really for the better. So there's a lot that goes into that. But, yeah, it's unfortunate that some teams and recruiters have to stoop that low in their recruiting because you're kind of going up against a titan in Deion Sanders.
One thing I will say, what you said about Coach Prime wanting to build the offensive line around him, I think continuously we've seen Coach Prime, make these statements and what he wants out of the team. And ultimately, what he says eventually comes true, I think, just with the linemen and bringing all them in the transfer portal. And just throughout the season, we've seen multiple examples of that. And I think that's going to be such a compelling piece come the fall. Like, a likely starting role, like getting integrated into that offensive line. Like, he's sizable. He has, a lot, experience. I think there's a lot of potential there to build that offensive line around him with a new line coach with Phil Loadhole and them working closely together. And, that was just ultimately the biggest priority going into the offseason. But there's so much intrigue there in what they can produce around him, and getting an offensive lineman like Jordan Seaton and continually bring in that talent, then you can finally have an offensive line that can, protect Shedeur and do things that the offensive needs to do.
Running the ball included, because, man,
yes.
We really struggled there. A few more little nuggets here. He was talking about what Colorado did this year and how Coach Prime has kind of already turned this program around. I picked out this quote. He said, "Give it a year or 2 years, and that's going to be a real program that everyone's going to want to go to." And we talk about that a lot on this show, that in the future, the very near future, this program is going to be in a much different spot. And we already saw it. I mean, you mentioned the transfer portal guys, how quickly they came in here early in the process. Obviously, Jordan Seaton was a massive factor in sort of turning the tides for the offensive line this offseason and just the recruiting in general for the program. But this is still just the start for Coach Prime in this program, it feels like. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I feel like last season was a foundation layer. It was a builder. I think it was an establisher for all of us to really understand what we were getting ourselves into with this Coach Prime hire and what it really meant, and just defining what we were going to see moving forward. And I think, of course it was, a 4-8 season, but, despite the losses, there was so much, lucrative factors and positive aspects that came out of the season, just with, I feel like when I'm on the show, I always talk about the 2022 team, but just the jump from 2022 to 2023, it was a positive step forward, regardless of, how much they were losing. And it ultimately circles back to the offensive line. But now we've seen the problems that are, on the field, things that need to be addressed. They picked up Will Shepard, such an intriguing and really productive wide receiver. I think, they struggled in the SEC. They didn't have a good offensive line similarly. But I think once they have all those pieces together, he's going to be such a productive asset within that offense. And, it's just putting all the pieces together. Like you always see Corey Phillips and them tweet the puzzle piece, and it's all just pieces to the puzzle, and just building for a season. And the coaches can address the problems, like they see what's going wrong within the program, and we see those too as fans, and they're just filling those holes and filling those gaps. And the talent that they brought in is kind of a bright note on what's happened in December.
For itself, really. Last thing here, and you already mentioned it, but the Hayes Fawcett IG Live. Soccer team just scored a goal.
Someone scored a goal.
But this was the most, I don't know, head-scratching for some, funny, cringe, some might say, chapter of this entire saga was the Haas Fawcett Live. Jordan Seaton straight up said that he and Shedeur kind of trolled him. And it was basically an inside job. What were your thoughts of the Hayes Fawcett IG Live, and now that we know it was all kind of a setup, I guess, against him?
Yeah, I was making dinner while this was going on. I was in the heat of making my gnocchi and bolognese sauce. Anyways, I think what I held on to during that interview is that he said I'm still a Buff.
Right.
And he never really, I don't really remember, but there wasn't a lot of talk of just like Maryland, it was just like where his mind was at. And, it's just like him and Jordan Seaton and Hayes just going, let's all love, bro, like facts. Like that's just, it's just like all love, like media is crazy, the social media is not real. And social media, is, this not truly part of the reality or whatever, the existential factors that come with social media, whatever. But, you know, it was just like a general like conversation. There wasn't anything that made me think like, oh, okay, he might actually commit somewhere else.
Right.
Like, you can tell that there was still stuff with the Buffs going on, and it was just like, it was such a long conversation. I was just sitting through it waiting for something to happen, and
it was crazy. That was, to me, I've said it before, that was the thing that tipped me off that he was still going to be a Buff. Was that whole IG Live, just how weird it was, how he was so vague about Colorado, how he intentionally brings up Nebraska first as teams that he's talking to when they weren't even in his top schools. How you said how he never even mentioned Maryland.
Yeah.
Like the entire time throughout that whole thing. So kind of hilarious though that it actually was a troll this entire time. One last thing about that I thought was interesting too. He was talking about Colorado and Coach Prime when he was talking about how he turned this program around already, basically. When he was saying, give them a year or two and they'll be somewhere everyone wants to go. He didn't even know the record. Like he said, what were they? 5-6 wins? Like what were they? Like the 4-8 record is like irrelevant to these guys right now. And credit to Jordan Seaton. He's one of many people. I think there's a lot of people in the chat and that watch this show too, who see the record and see what happened on the field last year and are able to put it in perspective and realize it's just year one of a whole rebuilding process. So credit to him for that, because I don't know, a lot of people hold that against Colorado, but it doesn't mean as much to the people that that's most important to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately we would like to see a bowl game out of the team. There's so many close games. I think like you guys mentioned that a lot. Like there were so many close games last season, and so many possessions that went wrong. But we get all caught up in the details and just what everyone's saying, and ultimately just what came out of last season was something that was much better from seasons prior, and just a brighter path forward. And recruiting is a tough game, but Coach Prime has been winning a lot this recruiting season, and he's doing exactly what he said he would. And I think if you get 5 stars, Travis Hunter, Cormani McLean, and Jordan Seaton, you're doing something right. Colorado wasn't getting 5 stars before. This is just progress. It's like
exactly.
Ultimately, as fans, you want to see more wins, or you want to see more of this or X, Y, and Z. But it's just, this is all part of the process, and Jordan Seaton was just such a big part in what Colorado is building for the future.
For sure. You can check out that entire interview. It's on Rivals YouTube page. It's on Twitter. I tweeted it out. I'm sure you tweeted it out, CU Sports Report and all that. So go check it out.
Yeah, it's a good interview. It definitely gives a lot of context on stuff that's happened with him.
You learn a lot in those 6 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It's really quick. All right, shout out to our great friends over at Prize Picks. You guys already know what Prize Picks is at this point. It's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS, just you against the numbers. You can make picks on basketball. You can make picks on football. You can even combine the two. All you do is pick your players and pick more or less for a few stat lines. Put them all together in an entry. It's super easy to play. You can make picks and submit an entry in less than 60 seconds. Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy, so if one of your players gets hurt, your entry is still alive. They got quick withdrawals and an enormous selection of players and stats. Go to prizepicks.com/DNVR. Use code DNVR for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/DNVR and use code DNVR. Daily fantasy sports made easy. And then also shout out to our great friends over at Game Time. Buffs basketball is kicking off their non-conference, or their in-conference slate for the final time in the Pac-12 tonight. If you're trying to go to the CU Event Center and watch this basketball team, check out Game Time. Men's, women's, Broncos, Nuggets, Avs, wherever you may be, whatever city you're in. Not just sporting events, but concerts, events, whatever's happening, wherever you are. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code BUFFS, BUFFS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code BUFFS, BUFFS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's have some fun.
Let's do it, Jake. Right. Me and you love to have fun.
We do. So yesterday, I think it was while we were doing this show, actually, the Pop-Tarts Bowl was on. And it was a fine football game. Honestly, I can't even remember who played in it at this point.
UNLV and Kansas State.
There
Kansas
you go.
State won and ate the edible mascot.
Either way, the most interesting and amazing part of that game was the fact that it's called the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and there was a live mascot that was baked alive and eaten on television.
That's something we certainly have not seen before. A mascot being eaten. I think the Cheez-It Bowl needs to respond.
The Cheez-It Bowl must respond. Someone has to respond. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to draft our favorite wacky things about college football. It could be whatever you want.
Okay.
You can be as specific or as vague as you want. We're just having fun with this. If you're watching in the chat, let me know what your favorite wacky thing is about college football. Do you want me to start?
Go for it.
All right. Look, we even got your face on the graphic, too.
I know. That was a picture of me from the career fair when I was a
sophomore. Was it?
Same glasses, same brown hair. I've been thinking about dyeing my hair red, but anyways, sound off in the comments if I should dye my hair red.
Let her know. All right. My first pick and my favorite wacky thing, and it relates to CU, is live mascots. That is one of the crazier, cooler things about college football is the fact that we have live mascots. You go back to, I can't remember what game it was, but when Texas and Georgia played in that bowl game a few years back, and the Bulldog is like getting after Bevo and stuff, and like he's like messing with the cage.
Oh my God, the Bevo stuff was so sad.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So sad.
We have Ralphie running on the field here at Folsom. We've got Mike the Tiger at LSU. I love all the live mascots. We need more of them. And they make college football fun.
They do make college football fun. You know, we got to handle those animals in a very humane way. What happened with it was the OSU game, right? They like killed like not Bevo, the actual mascot, but like they left a dead Longhorn.
Oh, no, what was that? It was the Big 12 title game.
Yeah.
It was Oklahoma State. Someone
it was Oklahoma
killed an actual Longhorn. Don't do that. Be nice to animals.
I know. Be nice to animals. They're here to celebrate football with us as well. You know, this was just like a random one. Like, I'm just thinking about like the year. Like, so many things happen in college football. And I'm going to say a name, and it's probably not going to sit well with people, but Mel Tucker getting fired from Michigan State in a very scandalous way. And then Jonathan Smith stepping in from Oregon State, leaving his...
So scandalous coaches, is that what you're going with?
A little bit. You know, it's not very wacky, but like you see moves like that and you're like, oh my God. Like
I mean, the Bobby Petrino saga at Arkansas, like all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, like that coaching move was definitely one of the more, maybe, I think wacky, but like certainly like scandalous, made you think like that something is definitely going on behind the scenes there. And God, yeah. Maybe a name we don't want to mention, but that was one of like the bigger coaching moves this season. I was like, damn. I was like, oh man, like it's just
these coaches are no shame.
There's
and they get crazy.
There's a lot of things to say about Mel Tucker, but I am somewhat not surprised that happened.
You can let it out here a bit too if you wanted to. All right, great pick. We're gonna snake this, so I'm gonna give you another pick here.
Okay.
Are you good for another pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say. I think a Colorado reference this season was Dan Lanning saying that Colorado is fighting for clicks. Mm-hmm. And that whole saga and beef between them. Of course, that game was just atrocious up in Oregon, but I think all like the back and forth and like the antics before, that was pretty wacky. Just
so the trash talk, is that what you're going with? The trash talk of college football?
Yeah, the trash talk with Coach Prime.
Trash talk with Coach Prime. I mean, two very different things, so I get what you're coming from.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like, you know, everyone was taking like shots at him, like Jay Norvell.
Yep.
I mean, it makes the game better. Like both, like that CSU game was so much better with like that pretense and that storyline going into it, and that was just like, it was pretty. It's just like silly to look back on, and it's just like good that Colorado got a win out of that.
Good pick. Yeah, it's extremely interesting here at Colorado, always with Coach Prime. My next pick, I don't know how to word this, but I'll just say creative NIL deals. Like, remember the Coldest Crawford?
Oh, yeah.
Partnering with like like an HVAC company or something like that? Like, stuff like that is hilarious. When DJU like partnered with, I think it was Bojangles, like, and that was a big deal.
Caleb Williams in the Fansville commercial.
Yeah, like just seeing these college athletes like actually getting paid for what they do, but finding like fun ways to do it as well. That's something about college football that, I mean, we need to iron out a lot of things for sure, but it makes the game fun. It's cool to see.
It's good to see like their faces and them integrated in these like companies, especially like with they're making fun of it, and like it's just like it's funny. Like it's just like it's cool to like see them, and like the KFC commercial with like Coach Prime and all of them. It's just like we get caught up in like football. Let's all have a laugh. We're all people, and it's like it's funny when they do these like media things, and it's cool to see them in those settings.
Okay, I'm coming back around here on my next pick. Something that, I mean, it's football. It's not super wacky, but midweek maction, like games, like bowl season when games are just like in the middle of the week and stuff like that. I don't know. There's just a different vibe to those games that aren't on Saturday or like aren't in primetime slots. They always get a bit crazy. Like if you have like a San Jose State, New Mexico game on like a Friday night or something, it's going to always be a little wacky.
Yeah.
We saw the Friday night games that we had here at Folsom. Those were wacky. So midweek action will be all encompassing. We'll maybe fix that in post, but football games not played at conventional times always get weird and wacky.
Maybe I'll play off of that too, and just like a hat tip to the Pac-12 and all the wacky things that happen in Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many like wild moments like throughout the years. That's like what like the Pac-12 so many, anything could happen in Pac-12 after dark. Of course, like we saw it this season, and like, oh man, that double overtime against Stanford. Whew. But
yeah, rough.
I would say a hat tip to the Pac-12 after dark, and it is sad to see the conference go, but I want to pour one out for the Pac-12 and all the wacky moments that happened.
Love it.
Within the season. I'll have to go back and go through the archives, but there's definitely a thread on Twitter that shows just the silliest things that happened in Pac-12 matchups.
Your final pick here.
See, I wish I came a little bit more prepared, but I would say this isn't like a good pick, but it was like funny when it happened. Ryan Day taking a shot at Lou Holtz.
You're just going for all the trash talk and scandalous coaches, all that stuff.
I work in social media. That's all I see.
That's true. That's your life.
Ohio versus everybody. Ohio versus the world.
Well, Michigan versus everyone, Colorado versus everybody.
Sign stealing could definitely be up there too.
Ooh, sign stealing would be a good one.
Dude, that was like the whole that was definitely a defining like storyline throughout this season was Michigan and the sign stealing, and now it's like definitely subdued, but I think you still see the jokes on Twitter.
So you're going with Ryan Davis versus Lou Holtz, or are you going with sign stealing?
Okay, I'm going to switch it up and say sign stealing because that was very specific, but I'm going to go with Michigan State sign stealing and all the memes that came out of that.
Yes.
But yeah, shout out to Ryan Day versus Lou Holtz.
That could almost go into your first and second pick. Scandalous coaches, which Ohio State always has scandalous coaches.
Yes.
And then two trash talk.
Yeah. They could definitely go into both of those.
Okay.
I want to hear your last pick.
I've got three things I'm deciding between here.
Whoa. You should have texted me one of them.
Well, I didn't want to give you my picks.
True.
So the first one and the most obvious one is the fans. Who's wackier in college football than the fans? This isn't my pick, Yaya. No. The second one, and I won't pick this one because I already picked live mascots, but like the actual mascots, like Chip, you know what I mean? Or like the leprechaun for Notre Dame or the orange for Syracuse. Like,
BYU.
Yeah, the scary looking cougars and stuff like that.
He does so many push-ups. Puddles does a lot of push-ups.
Exactly. So those are all in there, but I'm going for my number 4, and this is specific, college game day signs.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the most insane, hilarious, creative, and overall wacky things about college football is what these kids end up putting on their college game day signs.
So creative.
Yeah.
That was so cool experiencing college game day this year and like looking out on all the signs. I mean, it was like the Jay Norvell beef. You saw a lot of like sunglasses and hats and stuff. But like, dude, there's some out of pocket signs. This is something very different. But like on the topic of the fans, there was someone that tweeted. Someone wore. I traveled from Canada to see the Detroit Pistons lose 28 games at the Boston Celtics games.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about. The creativity, like the push,
the pettiness almost.
The pettiness,
yes.
Like there's some signs that make it onto the broadcast, and it's like, oh. You know, that's definitely riding a fine line of what can be on national television, but it still stands because it's college football.
Right.
Anything goes.
No, there's sometimes you see a sign and it's like, oh, I'm going to see that one on Twitter here in a few minutes. Right. That's got like 80,000 likes or something.
Oh, the signs are the best.
That was fun. Let us know what we missed out on in the comments.
I know. I think I missed out on a lot of things. I wish I came a little bit more prepared, but...
You're all right.
How come did you guys not say like bowl names? The college.
Do you want
games?
bowl names?
Bowl
I'll
names
give you
is
one
insane.
edit to your list if you want. You can pick extravagant bowl names if you want.
I think I'm fine. I think I'm fine with my list.
Okay. There you go.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for playing.
There's the wacky college football things draft. And that's only scratching the surface, too. There's probably a lot more that we could have gone to. Maybe we'll do it again next time when you're here.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Circa, the incredible Circa Sportsbook and Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's got a beautiful 7,000 square foot casino. It's an adults-only casino, so it makes that whole process of checking IDs and getting in and out the door very, very easy. They got stadium swim also, so you can lounge by the pool while you bet on games. And, of course, 500-plus luxury rooms. If you're headed out to Vegas for the Broncos-Raiders season finale, Avs Knights, Pac-12 tournament, or the Mountain West tournament, book your stay with code DNVR20, and you can get 20% off. You can also download the Circa Sportsbook app that's available in Colorado. Go to circasports.com. Circa Sports bets can only be made while physically located in the state of Colorado. Must be 21 or older. All rights reserved. Circa Sports Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org. Shout out to Circa. Are you hyped that we get to go back to Vegas for Media Day again?
Dude, I'm so hyped.
Let's go.
Dude, Jake and I had a blast.
We did.
We had so much fun.
On Fremont.
Yeah, dude, I've never been there, and it was just like this, because it's just like the regular strip, and then there's like that tiny like strip and sidewalk, just anything, like there's just so many characters there. Like we saw Jesus walking a woman with no pants. I remember that.
Yep. There's a lot of unique things that happen.
Dude,
on
it was so
Fremont
hot
Street.
there, but I'm like, I mean, if we went to Texas, it'd be hot too. Vegas, it has like a little bit for like all of us just to have a little bit of fun afterwards.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm glad it's like, especially the flight from here to Vegas, not bad at all. Yeah, and the Big 12. I forgot, it's like...
We're in Big 12 country now.
I know. I really enjoy TCU, though. I'm excited to go to Texas more. It's so fun there.
Yeah, that was just, I mean, it was amazing, but it was... TCU was really cool. Except the heat.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we're out there... in Fort Worth or Texas, wherever it's extremely hot. We'll have our Shady Rays, though, to protect us from the warm, hot sun. Shady Rays built to last. And every pair is backed by their lost and broken replacement program. Even if you don't like or you break your pair of Shady Rays on day one, they will replace them, no questions asked. Shady Rays is a great product. They have premium polarized lenses, strong, durable frames. Go to the Park Meadows Mall, or go online to shadyrays.com. Use that promo code DNVR, and you can get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses, and you can try for yourself. The shade's rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. All right. A couple things to touch on. We're going to start off with the CFP, though. On Monday, right?
New Year's Day.
So there
I will
you
be
go.
working the evening, 4:30 to midnight. Hopefully.
Yeah, you're right in the thick of it. I think the Michigan game starts at 3. That's the first playoff game that we get. And then, of course, we will have Texas and Washington to follow right after. Which game do you want to start with?
Maybe just Michigan and Washington.
Michigan, Alabama.
Michigan, Alabama. Those are my CF. I want Michigan and Alabama in the national championship, but
Well, it ain't going to happen because they're playing the Rose Bowl. Let's talk about the Rose Bowl, though. Michigan, 1.5-point favorites, depending on where you shop around, 2 points. But they are the number 1 team in the country right now. Alabama, of course, gets in by beating Georgia in the SEC title game.
yeah, number 4.
Where are you leaning in this matchup?
It's easy to take Michigan in this. They've been pretty dominant all season. I think always their defining game is beating Ohio State, and they consistently do that. They've done that the last 3 years. I think maybe this is like Harbaugh's revenge season
Yeah,
after all the sign stealing stuff.
Let's
and
go.
It's Alabama's a great team. They have Jalen Milroe. He's a really, consistent quarterback. He plays well. They have so many different weapons. Alabama's always been a consistent, team. But this year, the SEC was a little bit, on the rocks.
Not great. No.
Yeah.
Not great.
And, I think they've, Alabama, they beat Georgia fair and square. But I think Michigan just has a little bit more. Yes, they are the number 1 team, but they're just, I think they're more ready to win than Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide.
I mean, look, Michigan's my team.
Why is Michigan your team?
My dad grew up in Michigan. My grandpa grew up
Okay.
out there. I was born into it. I had no choice in this. I actually got to pick being a Broncos fan. I didn't have a choice in being a Michigan fan. Anyways, kind of what you just said. I feel like this team is kind of built up to this. They made the playoffs the last 2 years. They got their teeth kicked in by Georgia 2 years ago. They lost the heartbreaker to TCU last year. It just feels like JJ's been there through it all. He's got to play much better in this playoff than he did last year. But it just feels like this team has been building for this. And just with everything that's gone on this season, I think Michigan wins this game. I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, Milroe's been playing really great recently. Alabama has a fantastic secondary. They're great in the trenches as well. So it's going to be a battle.
Yeah, it's another college football shootout. I think both offenses are going to be scoring a lot, I'd say. It's just going to be like one of those games where it's going to be a lot of back and forth.
I think both games could be like that. Let's go to Texas, Washington. Washington, the 2 seed. Texas ranked number 3. Texas with their lone loss to Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout. They won the Big 12. Washington beat Oregon twice to win the Pac-12. Are you riding with the Pac and Washington, or are you horns up?
I'm not horns up. I don't think I will gonna be horns up for this. I think I'm gonna ride with the Pac. It's like this is the demise of the conference. Like they need just something just to send it off. I mean, it'd be great if Washington can go all the way. It'll be interesting. I think throughout the years you see Pac-12 teams enter these playoff scenarios and then they just get their ass kicked.
Yep.
But Washington is such a dominant team. They've really made a name for themselves throughout this season. But Michael Penix is that guy, dude. He is so good. And Romo Dunze, they're such a effective duo. They have so many weapons on that offense. I think throughout the season their defense is what is somewhat concerning. But their offense always comes back and answers for them. That game is going to be wild. Both of these matchups are going to be wild.
Great
but
playoff.
I don't know. It's just I think I'm personally rooting for the Huskies, but to name a score or how that game is going to end, I can't personally predict that. But I would like to see Michigan and Washington.
All right. I think Texas is going to win this game. I love Washington. I love what Michael Penix has done all year. They really impressed me in the Pac-12 title game, being able to beat Oregon twice and the way they ran the ball in that game. I just think Texas is the more stout team in the trenches. I do think Washington has the quarterback advantage. I think Texas, though, is just going to be able to give them a challenge that they really haven't had to deal with. They really handled Oregon well, but Texas, I mean, they dominated Alabama up front earlier in the year, gave Alabama their lone loss of their season. So I'm going to go Michigan, Texas in the CFP final. We'll touch back on this next week once we finally know who's playing in the national championship. Soccer things are happening. We did this yesterday, but let's get your thoughts. 2023 was a hell of a year. Your favorite things about 2023, going all the way back to basically this time last year when we were still getting everything assembled, coach was just getting settled, all the way through the Jordan Seaton stuff till now. Favorite things?
Wow, everything.
Everything.
You know, it's like, I think like meeting the coaching staff, it was like a favorite thing, but it was like it was like, wow, we're like really entering this new era. And it was very early in the season. And then leading up to that, I mean, did you say, I'm going to say the spring game. I think this.
I said that yesterday, and
Dude.
Ryan said no.
What?
Yeah, I know.
What about? I'm like, the spring. It was like, you know, that was such like a crazy atmosphere for a fucking spring game. Like that, like you never ever see that. Like, and we got to see all the NFL buffs. I said hi to a couple of them, and you know, like the whole community was there. It was like, damn, like this is what we're gonna have like going into the season. Like it was like such a fun, exciting atmosphere, and you know, like because we covered the spring game, and it was just like, you know, just spring game. But this was like, you know, what roster gonna look like? I know there's a lot of guys from the previous team, but there's a lot of questions surrounding the team. Like it was just a lot of excitement, and that's when we kind of first saw like how many eyes were on the program.
Yeah.
So like that was really cool. Kind of the everything that happened in the summer, just like the unfolding of that. But I think definitely the best moments, of course, are when the football season happens. Definitely one of my favorite moments was like going on the podcast with you guys at the TCU game. Yeah. Fun fact, I was sitting behind them during the whole podcast, and it was freezing in that hotel. Afterwards, I ran sprints up and down the hallway because I was so cold. But that was such a cool moment because it was just like the start of the season. You guys had everyone on, and it was just like, you know, who knows what we were going to get into. And of course, the next day unfolded, and we just saw one of the most wild offensive performances. We saw CU take down the national runner-up. Like, that was just like, you know, it was, you know, maybe unbelievable in ways. You just look back, and I just remember how I was feeling in the press box, that, you know, that feeling that was missing from the year prior of oh my God, the Buffs are gonna win this game. Yeah. Especially in such wild fashion too. That game was one of my favorite moments. It was one of my first games I ever traveled to. Mm-hmm. And I had so much fun on that trip. You guys were such a blast to hang out with. And yeah, I think I would say Utah too. I don't want to jump ahead. I feel the CSU game. Of course. I feel the win, everything that went up before that game. Of course, the birth of the Shador at the Nebraska game.
Yeah. Trying to think what else we said.
Offset,
I mean, yeah.
The Lil Wayne, those 2 weeks, the Nebraska week and the Colorado State week, being on the field and running into. Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett didn't come, but those were two guys. I was like, oh my God, anything is possible. Kevin Garnett, anything is really possible. Yeah. That was cool.
We threw out the ASU trip too. I mean,
yeah, I didn't go on that trip.
We had a ball on that one. What else did we throw out? We mentioned the rivalry weeks. Media Day. Media Day was a great time too.
Yeah, dude, Media Day was so fun. I interviewed Caleb Williams that day. Not necessarily the interview I wanted to do, but I did it, and I can say that I did it. And did you guys talk to Caleb Williams or no?
He talked to Saul, our GM at PHNX. He did that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you guys fed everyone Shador Sanders #2 barbecue
We mentioned that too, yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, just like meeting everyone. I'm also rooting for Washington because I talked to Kalen DeBoer a bit, and it's just like they're building something so good there, and we were just sitting there, and George Kikilikov was telling us how the Pac-12 is going to stay together.
Oh, yeah.
Slowly but surely, it did not.
He came on this show and said that exact same thing. Anything else? Peggy? I mean, all the Peggy moments from last year have been amazing.
I think it was like, maybe not a favorite moment, but I'm like Ralphie. I'm like, oh, seeing her run, I'm like always rooting for her to get to the 50-yard line. Seeing Offset, that was pretty cool and interesting.
Yeah,
I was like,
Lil Wayne.
I went to the practice field where they like walk out, and I was like, taking a video of them. I was like, oh man, Offset's like walking them out. Like all the events of that day. Like my favorite day, I would say, of the whole season was the CSU day, because I woke up very early, went to college game day, and we were standing. I wear this sweatshirt all the time. It's my favorite sweatshirt, but I was wearing this exact outfit, and we were just like standing there, and like the flat irons were in the back. Like the weather was perfect, and I stayed up for 23 hours. And when I was driving home in my Subaru Crosstrek, I thought I was going to crash, but. It was just like, it was such like an incredible day, and the game was crazy, and like, these are people, of course, you like see on TV and stuff, but like being around them and like seeing Pat McAfee and stuff, and like kind of all the whole production of it.
Yeah.
And then going over to Farrenfield and, seeing Lil Wayne and Gronkowski and Mark Ingram and the whole gang too. These are guys that travel around the country, and it's just like cool to be a part of that, because you watch that like when you're a kid and stuff.
Right.
When I was a wee tot, and yeah, that was like certainly like a career moment, and like definitely another cool moment was being interviewed for the Coach Prime documentary.
Yeah, let's get to it. You're a superstar now.
You're a superstar. I mean, you've already been a superstar, but like that.
Please.
Shout out to Romy Bean for she texted me, and she's like, hey, if you get a text from the producers, like that was from me, and she like recommended me, and like that just like meant the world to me, because we all like. I'm just like I'm like a young journalist, but I've been like working really hard, and like I get recognition from like everyone, but get recognition from her, and her recommending me, and then doing the interview and everything that like went into that. Like I was just like this whole year has been like really transformative for all of us in so many different ways, and has elevated our voices and our platform so much, and like
it's been crazy.
That has been like the thing I'm like most grateful for, is just the opportunities that we've gotten throughout this season, even though there were losses, but we, like us media members, we really benefited off the opportunity. We were getting exposure, and ultimately we just try to do our jobs the best, but as an up and coming journalist, and all of us, this was such a lucrative and like wild year. Like I talk to people from other schools, and they're like, I'm kind of jealous I'm not covering Colorado right now. And I'm just grateful for this year. I was really grateful for that opportunity, and it's just like I'm like everything that has happened this year has been insane, because like it's my second year covering the team, and like we're all catapulted into this media landscape, and it's been so much fun. Like I'm so happy that this was the outcome, and I get to show my parents that I did study the right thing.
The validation of it has been pretty amazing.
Comm majors, I'm not striking out.
Yeah, we can make an impact in the world, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, it's funny what you said. No one wanted to cover this team 2 years ago. It's funny how stuff works out sometimes.
Yeah, so much can change in a year, truly. Like you just think about like what happened last year, and just like the coaching changes and uncertainty. We're talking about Bronco Mendenhall, like
Oh man,
Coach Prime wasn't really on the radar per se. A little bit, and
not until later on.
Yeah, not until later on, and then we're like, oh, this is happening. And what an awesome year it's been.
Just insane. All right, let's get to questions real quick. We got a little over 5 minutes here, so. What's up, Big TZ? Coming in with the super chat says, Nikki, what will your channel focus on in the off season? Will there still be football? You haven't posted too much lately. What's going on with the YouTube?
I know. Guys, I need to do that more. I think, just to be completely honest, like, I am tied pretty thin with my other job, but I do want to produce content for you guys, and like, seeing this comment, I definitely want to produce that more. And Troy Finnegan, my amazing colleague, shout out to him, because in my other job I work 40-hour weeks, and then he is there a lot of time to pick up the things that I'm unable to get to. But I definitely want to be doing more interviews, and I'm going to try to coordinate an interview with Rick George in the coming days. It's kind of been going back and forth. I'm dealing with some personal stuff on the side, whatever. But I want to produce more content and post there, and give you guys more and just do more interviews. It's definitely hard working these both jobs, and sometimes I do get tired, but I want to be posting more. And I was really happy Jake got me on the show today, because anytime I get back to doing this stuff, like, it just gives me like more motivation. And like, seeing myself on the Coach Prime documentary, I'm just like, damn, I just like miss this. But I work 2 jobs. It's a lot, but it's not an excuse, and I will try to produce more content. Maybe get Jake on, you know?
There you go. We can do something.
That's my honest answer. It's been hard doing both, but I want to be getting back to more of this.
You've come on this show and helped me out more times than I can remember, so I'll return the favor. Appreciate you, Big TZ.
Thank you.
What'd you say? Oh, okay. Guys, hit the like button. Also, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd appreciate your 5-star review. Let's try to get to 300 likes by the time we end the show here very quickly. Smuggles asks, what other offensive lineman's name do you know? I don't know what that's asking to. Oh, you clicked the wrong. Okay. Appreciate the comment, Smuggles. 5280 Ivan, what's up, man? How many times does college game day or big noon kickoff come to Boulder in 2024? Over under 2. So we had, well, in Boulder it was 2, right? It was just Nebraska and CSU. Or they came for USC, right? Big noon did.
Yeah. So that was 3.
So 3. Here's the thing. I don't think the Big 12 schedule is as flashy as the Pac-12. It's obviously a better fit for Colorado for the future, near and distant future, but you're not going to have those brand names like Oregon, USC anymore on your schedule. So, I mean, 2 is about where I'd say. Because neither of those non-conference games are in Boulder, I guess I'm going to go under.
Yeah, maybe I would say under 2. I think it's going to maybe come to light more when that schedule is set, like way down the line, and we can kind of see where teams are and stuff. But, you know, these are new relationships and like matchups we're establishing, or Colorado's establishing. So, you know, it's like there's going to be a lot of intrigue across college football. Those guys are going to be busy going a lot of places, but I mean, Colorado is definitely still on that priority list. So I'll say over 2, just for maybe like a big noon, or college game day once, maybe a big noon twice again. I think it all depends on kind of the storylines going into each week.
I changed my pick. I'm going to go over, because I think this team's going to be better, and I think that having them more so in the conversation into late October, November will make those types of things come to Boulder more often.
Yeah.
Just because the Buffs will be more relevant, especially if they're in the Big 12 like championship picture. I mean, if they're on the verge of winning this conference, then of course they're going to come down here, if not every week. DJ Flamey with the super chat says, love the chemistry between Jake and Nikki. Sco Buffs, can't wait for the spring. Happy New Year, all. Happy New Year to you guys, chat.
Happy New Year.
Appreciate all the support. Jermaine, will I actually go to the Pearl Street Stampede next season? I want to go. So, okay. to give context to this.
Okay.
Do you remember in episode 3 of the Coach Prime documentary when it's like before Nebraska, before the first home game, and they're talking about Pearl Street Stampede?
Yeah.
And then they have me like explaining what it is there. I've never been, and I don't really know what it is. So they asked me to explain it, and then they put that in the show, even though I've never been.
Oh,
We usually have pregame
so
shows
funny.
then. What can I say? I mean,
That's
I'm
so
working
funny.
Friday night. But I'll try my best to go at some point in the future.
You guys should get like, I guess like Avanti is definitely pretty expensive real estate, but if you guys did like a show at Avanti, just bring your
That would
microphones
be
and like do it.
incredible,
Because
yeah.
have you been there? Like
Yeah,
they have,
yeah.
it's like, it's a dope spot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Because I always knew the Pearl Street Stampede because when I went to college. And
Right, of course.
sometimes I'd pop on down there, but it's like, that's funny. I think we were all asked like a bunch of questions in that interview. It's like, okay, we just got to give our best answer. But you explained it well. I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
I mean, exactly. Like that's the thing I had on my side. It was like, well, it's pretty easy to explain what this is, but I don't know. Obviously, never been. All right, we're up against the clock here. What do we have? I'm Heavens. Demon says, does anybody know where AJ Harris is projected to go? So former Georgia cornerback, 2023 247 Sports 5-star player. I've seen some stuff about him going to Auburn, but I don't think that I think he's going to Syracuse. I think that's the next visit that he mentioned.
Fran Brown. That makes sense.
Man, they're kind of killing it recently.
Dude, I know.
This would be a massive
They got
get
King
for them.
Joseph Edwards, but I think they were always going to win that recruiting battle because, Nick Williams was recruiting him pretty hard.
Oh, yeah. Let me see what On3 says, if they have a prediction in here. Still says 99% Auburn and 1% Syracuse, so we'll see. One more question for you, Nikki. Eric's asking your confidence meter on a Colorado commitment from Bryce Underwood.
Oh, man.
1 to 10. 10's a virtual lock. 1 is he won't touch this place with a 10-foot pool. Where are you going?
I think, him coming here was definitely positive.
He visited when Jordan Seaton was here. It was that CSU game.
Yeah, they're like that. It is positive to see that. I think the decommitment of Antoine Hill, there is I think some speculation there. I think there's a little bit too much kind of openness there potentially in his recruitment. So I don't think Colorado is totally out of it. I think they're definitely still recruiting him. And, when Shedeur Sanders, goes to the NFL or follows his career path elsewhere outside of Colorado, they'll definitely need someone like Bryce Underwood to carry the torch. They need a really talented quarterback, and I think they're going to try to recruit a guy that can, be the quarterback that this program needs. So I think selling him on having that spot in the future is definitely a positive kind of outcome. But I would say a 4 on my confidence on where Bryce J.
All right.
Underwood's going to land. But yeah, we'll see. But
He commits a week from
Colorado's
tomorrow.
not totally out of it. What?
He commits a week from tomorrow.
Ooh.
So we're on the clock here.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah. We are good to go. That's the last show of 2023.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that crazy?
So full circle. Thank you for having me
Yeah,
on,
of
Jake.
course.
It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a
I
while.
know. It's been a minute. I'll see you up in Boulder for some basketball games. I'm sure we'll have a signing day press conference or
man.
something.
Buffs men's basketball and women's basketball, they're killing it right now. They both start
They've been fun
conference
to
play
watch.
this weekend. Women's basketball is a pretty good matchup against Utah, and Washington. They have a team full of transfers. They've been pretty good as well.
Yep.
But Buffs are 9-2. Washington 8-3 overall. So both productive non-con schedules, and it's going to be a real test. Good thing the Buffs are playing at home because they usually play well.
Yeah, they've been playing lights out at home. They have a big game coming up against Arizona. They head to Tucson. I believe that is next next Thursday. So that's the one we're all going to be tuning in for.
Little Kobe Williams update from Troy Finnegan, my coworker. Everyone should
is he
follow
playing?
him. No, sorry.
Oh.
He wasn't doing anything yesterday at practice, and he still has a brace on, so they'll definitely need him coming into conference play, but I think it's still questionable on whether or not he will play tonight. Likely not.
Hopefully. We need him. Yeah, no more DNVR for the rest of the year. Sorry, guys. Broncos on Sunday? All right. I don't really know what the plan is for next week. We may be live on Monday. We may be live next on Tuesday. So we'll find out. I don't know. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the support. Hit the like button on the way out. Let us know where we can follow you and find all your work.
Nikki Edwards, NIKKI. Edwards with 3 S's. Yeah, I'm floating around Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can follow me there. And I will be posting more content. And I'm holding myself accountable, and I'm saying it here. Posting more content. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jake, for having me on.
Of course. We'll have you back on pretty soon, I'm sure. We have a long off season to get through.
I know.
All right. See you guys next year. Go Buffs.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.